Okay, we are going to call this regular meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees to order. Ms. Barat-Timms, was the meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and I think we will turn the meeting over to Dr. Conklin for the opening exercises.
Good evening, President Guy, Board of Trustees, and Dr. O'Brien. We will begin the opening ceremonies with a prayer led by Mr. Clem. We will follow that by pledges led by Ava Flood, 7th grader at Cedar Bayou Junior School, and Mahi Singh, an 8th grader at E.F. Green Junior School. Will everyone please rise?
Everybody, please bow your head and join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and what it means to each and every one of us. I ask a special blessing upon the families of those who lost loved ones on 9/11 so many years ago, yet we never forget what it meant to the value of our country. Also, I'd like to pray for guidance for this board meeting, lead, guide, and direct each of us up here to make the correct decisions that will push our school district forward to the top of what it can be. Finally, we ask for safe travels for everyone to home. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Ray Levan, Director of Fine Arts, to recognize our All-State Theatrical Design and UIL Outstanding Performers.
Good evening, Dr. O'Brien, Board of Trustees. The Fine Arts Department is pleased to announce that the following students have received top honors at this year's All-State Theatrical Design Contest held this summer. Those students are being recognized for their achievements in costume design. Here this evening, we have Mr. Juan Huerta, who is in the 12th grade from Goose Creek Memorial High School. And missing from us this evening is Miss Amelia Logan. She was actually the top 10 in the state, and she is off living her best life in college now, so that is why she is no longer with us. Again, both students attend Goose Creek Memorial High School and are under the direction of theater directors Miss Gina Martin and Miss Peyton Wood. Let's give Juan a nice round of applause. Last but certainly not least, we would like to acknowledge Betsy Carbajal of Goose Creek Memorial High School Choir for being named an outstanding performer at the 2023 UIL State Solo and Ensemble Contest. The contest was held over Memorial Day weekend and was made up of approximately 100,000 performers from around the state. Of this group, only 2 to 3% receive the honor of Outstanding Performer. The student who wins this prestigious distinction receives a gold medal identical to those awarded to state champions at UIL events. And Betsy also is living her best life in college as a choir major, so we're very thankful that Ms. Holly Llewellyn and Mr. Anthony Rodriguez could join us and accept her award on her behalf. So if we could just give her a great hand clap. Thank you very much.
Hey, at this time, we would like to invite Faith Longoria, Associate Director of Social Studies, to recognize our National History Day and Texas History Day winners 2023.
Good evening. Is that on? I'm real excited to present this year's Texas and National History Day competition. As you know, Goose Creek has been participating in this for almost 40 years. We had an outstanding group of kids this year. We had 31 Goose Creek students who competed at the Texas History Day competition. 15 of those students placed, and 7 of those students went on to compete at the national level and did a phenomenal job. And we've got lots of special recognitions and things like that that we're going to go through tonight. I'm going to list the students for you, let them know what place they may or may not have, the title of their project, and their campus, and so forth. The first one that I'm real excited to present to you guys placed 6th at the National History Day competition. These guys are 6th graders. We have so much room to grow. And they were first at Texas History Day. It's Anna Lee Ramirez, Gabriel Ramirez, Jonathan Lewis, and Yashvir Gill. They had an exhibit that was called Got Safe Milk. They are from E.F. Green Junior School. Their sponsor is Claude Garrison. And at NHC, they received the Regional Outstanding History Award. The next student, she competed at the National History Day competition. She placed 2nd at Texas History Day. At Nationals, she received the Colonial Dames Award at Texas History Day, and she was also a recipient of the White House Historical Association Showcase, and she got to go to the White House and meet with the White House National Historian, which was a lot of fun. And her name is Mahi Singh. Her project was Booker T. Washington versus W.E.B. Du Bois. Frontiers in Black Upward Mobility, Civil Rights, and Economic Stability, Challenging Conventional Thinking in America. And her sponsor is Jenny McBunch. Next, for National History Day, we have Ava Flood, who placed first at the Texas History Day and went on to compete at Nationals. She had a junior individual exhibit entitled National Association Opposed to Women's Suffrage. She is a student at Cedar Bayou Junior School, and her sponsor was Mary McNeil. Our next student competed at National History Day and won 2nd place at Texas History Day, and they Gupta for his website, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Uniting as a New Frontier. He is a student at E.F. Green Junior School, and his sponsor was Claude Garrison. The list of students from here on are students who competed at and placed at Texas History Day, and 3rd place in the junior historical paper, Freddie De La Rosa's project, Harsh Frontier, How African American Explorer Matthew Henson Made Reaching the North Pole Possible. He's a student at Cedar Bayou Junior School, and his sponsor was Mary McNeil and Ronald Garris. The next one placed 3rd place in group junior documentary. It was Kinsey Pinkerton and Colin Pinkerton from Gentry Junior School, and their group documentary was entitled The Wasp Flying Through the Glass Ceiling. Their sponsor was Patricia Osmond, and they won the Ruth Weingarten Award at Texas History Day. Third place at Texas History Day for our junior group website is Chloe Campa and Sadvi Cora for their project Gemini Bridge to the Moon. They were students at E.F. Green Junior School, and their sponsor was Allison Alvarez. Also placing third place in the senior individual documentary category is Riley Bloom for her project, The Willing Working Women of World War II. She is a student at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and her sponsor was Stephanie Schroll. Placing fourth at Texas History Day for the senior individual performance, Anushka Shukla with her project Labor Laws, the New Frontier in Working Conditions. She also received the Outstanding Regional Project Award at Texas History Day. She is a student at Sterling High School, and her sponsor was Rox Anson. Additional students who received special awards at Texas History Day. Outstanding Regional Project for the Junior Division goes to Junior Group Documentary by Advita Shinde and Miley Ondap for their Project Mercury, the first manned mission to space. They attended E.F. Green Junior School, and their sponsor was Allison Alvarez. The following students all competed at Texas History Day, which means they won first or second place at the Lee College Regional History Day competition. The first project that we have is a senior group exhibit, Rebecca Curry and Diego Moreno with their project, They Let You Dream Just to Watch 'Em Shatter, Settling a New Frontier Through the Workplace Feminism of the 9-to-5 Movement. They are students at Impact Early College High School, and their sponsor is Elijah Milanovic. Next, we have a junior individual documentary. Nikita Gupta. Her project was entitled Revolutionizing a Frontier with Ford. She wasn't able to be here tonight. She is at E.F. Green Junior School, and her sponsor was Courtney Rice. We also have junior group website, Ariana Ramsing, Eliana Salazar, and Tanya Vasquez with a project entitled The First Amendment. They attend E.F. Green Junior School, and their sponsor was Courtney Rice. Senior historical paper, Karima Sandal. Her project was entitled The First Female Pioneer in the Modern Medical Frontier, Elizabeth Blackwell. She is a student at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and her sponsor was Keisha Luna. Kathy, all the rest of these are yours. So, senior group documentary, Tina Chen and Kathy Singh, for their project entitled The Baby Boom and Bust, Pushing Ethical Frontiers in China's Family Planning Policies. And they are students at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and their sponsor was Stephanie Schroll. Next is a senior group website, Laksh Nakeli, Manthan Moore, and Ayush Kora for their project Black Gold, How Spindletop Changes Texas Forever. They are also students at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and their sponsor was Stephanie Schroll. And finally, but definitely not least, because this was an outstanding project that we had, Yelitsi Paleto in her senior individual exhibit entitled Surrealism, the Art Form That Opened Eyes. It was a beautiful exhibit that she had. She is also from Goose Creek Memorial High School, and her sponsor was Stephanie Schroll. We have one last order of business for History Fair. This is kind of heartwarming and sad for me, but I'm going to go see if I can make it through this. In the fall of 1992, a first-year teacher walked through the doors into Goose Creek and started not only his experience in a social studies classroom as a teacher, but was first introduced to the National History Day program. His participation in this program would span not only his years as a classroom teacher, but would continue throughout his career as an assistant principal, a principal, and a district director. In fact, when I was in the classroom at Baytown Junior, he was my assistant principal and my principal and helped me learn the ropes as a teacher on how to do the National History Day program. He's amazing. I would argue that no one in this district knows this program better than Steve Custer. For 30 years, Steve Custer has given his personal time to our students competing in the National History Day program, driving student exhibits and props to the state contest and all the way to DC at the national contest, sometimes in his own vehicle, sometimes hauling a U-Haul. He's been phenomenal. He's mentored so many different students at every single level, even in the last couple of years, even this year with some of the projects that placed at nationals. He's supported multiple coordinators, judged practically every campus fair that we've had, been our technology guru, and our Washington, D.C. tour guide. For the past 9 years, I've been blessed to work and learn from him. As a new coordinator, he helped me learn the ropes of the program and the contest. He is the person I love to bounce ideas off of, knowing that he's going to be honest, but he'll also be kind. I jokingly refer to Steve as my partner in crime, but he's really so much more than that, because he's been the cornerstone of our program for 30 years. He's the person who waits with me for an hour and a half outside after we get back from state, waiting for all the parents to pick up their kids. He's the first to arrive with me early in the morning and the last one to leave with me. It's always the two of us, so I'm going to miss him incredibly. I've asked Jessica Lewis to stand with me this evening. It's kind of a unique year for us. She was part of his very first class of students to compete at Texas History Day back in his 1992-93 school year. And this year, we got the honor of her son placing sixth with his sixth grade group project this year at the national contest. Tonight, I want to honor the invaluable commitment that he's made to the program over the past 30 years and express my gratitude and appreciation for everything he's done to support our students, our teachers, and our administrators.
All right. For our final recognition, we'd like to invite Dr. Matt Bollinger, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and Heather Alacron, HR Coordinator.
Okay, good evening. As a final recognition, we have something exciting. The Human Resources Department would like to recognize the following clinical student teachers for successful completion of their internship and employment as full-time teachers in Goose Creek CISD. We are proud of their success and the fact that we are able to grow our own clinical teacher giants. We would like to thank our Board of Trustees, our superintendent, our campus principals, and also our administrators throughout the district in supporting this awesome initiative. We also have 3 longtime employees who were awarded TEA's Grow Your Own grant to assist them in completing their bachelor's degree and or teacher certification. We are proud to report that 100% of our first Grow Your Own cohort have graduated and will continue to serve the students of Goose Creek as teachers. And so starting off with Raquel Francis, she started substituting with the district in 2020. She became a daily substitute at Cedar Bayou Junior School in 21-22, and then took on many long-term substitute positions in 22-23. This year, Raquel is teaching 7th grade math at Cedar Bayou Junior. She received $7,500 to complete her bachelor's degree and enroll in an ACP. Congratulations, Raquel. Let's give her a hand. Next, we have Monique Guillory. She's been working as a substitute in the district since 2019. She began teaching full-time in the 22-23 school year as a 6th grade math teacher at Cedar Bayou Junior. Monique received $7,500 to complete her bachelor's degree and enroll in an ACP. Congratulations, Monique. Melvin Rivera began his career in Goose Creek in 2015 in the food service department as a cafeteria worker. From 2018 to 23, he worked at both Baytown Junior and Lee High School as a paraprofessional in the ESL and special education departments. When I was principal at Baytown Junior, Melvin was with me, and he was outstanding, and I'm proud of his accomplishments tonight. This year, he is teaching 11th grade Algebra 2 and Algebra 2 honors at Goose Creek Memorial High School. Melvin received $18,000 to complete his bachelor's degree at the University of Houston Clear Lake. Congratulations, Melvin. All right, and last, we also have Grow Your Own or Grow Our Own clinical teachers who were all offered full-time teaching positions and are currently working throughout our district for the 23-24 academic year. In this day and age, it's very difficult to find highly qualified teachers, and we're able to grow them within our district, so we're very proud of this. Starting off with Carla Ariano. She teaches PE at E.F. Green Junior School. Let's give her a hand. Next, we have Shelby Haynes McCrary. She teaches English Language Arts at Goose Creek Memorial High School. Azucena Melendez teaches 3rd grade at ELA and Social Studies at Victoria Walker Elementary. She couldn't be with us tonight, but let's go ahead and clap in her absence. Next, we have Rosalie Perez, 4th grade Math and Science at Highlands Elementary. Marisol Castillo can be with us tonight, but she teaches 2nd grade dual language at Highlands Elementary. Next, we have Elise Vega. She teaches 9th grade biology at Goose Creek Memorial High School. Jennifer Allsbrooks cannot be with us tonight, but she teaches 5th grade ELA at Harlem Elementary. Next, we have Charity Turner, 1st grade self-contained at Travis Elementary. All right, next we have Peyton Doucette. She teaches kindergarten self-contained at Stephen F. Austin Elementary. Is this Peyton or Connie? Okay, and Connie. Okay, so this is Connie Batonzo. Peyton couldn't be with us. Connie Batonzo, 4th grade at Pumphrey Elementary. Let's give her a hand. And last, I want to recognize Heather Alarcon. She's our HR coordinator, and she helps facilitate this program. Let's clap for her as well. Thank you.
Okay, lots to celebrate tonight. Do we have any citizens participation tonight? Okay. So we'll move on to item number 5, approval of minutes for the July 27th, 2023 special board meeting and then the August 7th, 2023 regular board meeting.
I make a motion that we accept.
I think we need to consider them separately.
Separately.
Separate.
And we do?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the July 27th, 2023 special board
Make a
meeting.
motion on July 27th.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Sampson, a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4, 5. So 5, 4. Any abstentions? Okay. 5, 4, 1 abstention. Motion passes. Okay, August 7th, 2023, regular board meeting.
I move to approve. Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Campisi, a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. I have 6, 4, 0 against. So motion passes. All right. Dr. O'Brien, discussion items.
That brings us to the superintendent's report, which we have 2 this evening, the first of which will be accountability updates and changes presented by Ms. Jackson and her team.
Good evening, President Clem, Dr. O'Brien, and Board of Trustees.
Correction.
Did I say that? I'm so sorry. And look, I even wrote it down on my paper. So let me redo that. Good evening, President Guy, Board of Trustees, and Dr. O'Brien. We are here to share just a little bit about the accountability updates that you're going to hear about. We are set to receive the scores on September 26th. At this point in time, we don't know. That could change depending on lawsuits that are floating out there, but felt like we needed to get you ready for the upcoming news, I guess.
My name is James Husband. I'm the Associate Director of Accountability. We wanted to start off by just going over a statement that Commissioner Morath put out to the message to the board members. He basically just said that this year's different than last year. It's possible for a campus with an A in 2022 to show improvement in 2023, but yet earn a B. So we wanted to lead with that because with the A to F refresh system, they are calculating it a little bit differently. There is another TA explanation comparing 22 to 23 ratings. It's not a simple apples to apples comparison. With the A to F refresh, there are different rules, and we're going to, again, they have shared that a campus with an A rating in 22 may improve in 2023 and yet receive a B rating. So we wanted to start off just by talking about some of the major changes to the A to F accountability system. We still don't even have a finalized accountability manual as of 5 o'clock today. It was supposed to come out early September. And so this is where we stand today with the proposed changes to the manual. So one of the major changes you will see is the CCMR, the letter grade cut points for 2023 and beyond. You can see from 2017 to 2022, you needed to have 60% of your graduates to have a CCMR point to receive an A. That has changed to an 88 this year and moving forward.
So I want to point out that you heard his statement of an A could be a B, but if you look, this is 40% of your actual accountability ratings, and in order for you, if you are a B, then you will be a D. So that's not one letter grade, that's two. And so that's typically what we're seeing is about a 2-letter grade drop.
And so along those same lines of CCMR, there are, one of the ways a student can earn a CCMR is through IBCs. And there is a group of sunsetting IBCs. And so what TA has done is that they have identified a problem. They said that there were too many campuses that were just getting the CCMR points by one of these sunsetting IBCs, and that kind of drove the CCMR score up.
So let me explain IBCs. So those are industry-based certifications that is a workforce readiness kind of thing. It's not like a higher ed certification. For example, I took a business course and I got Microsoft Office certified. That would count for my IBC. One that we see a lot of is floral. There's a floral certification that they would take in maybe a sophomore or freshman class. And in order for you to get that point now, it has to be in their, they have to be a continuer or a completer. And so they would take it to their junior, senior course. This year would be junior, next year would be senior. And then it has to be a coherent sequence. And some of the courses that we're seeing are not going to be accepted anymore. However, the federal government wrote in legislation that says that they want to increase IBCs. So on Domain 3, there is no cap. But for Domain 1 and 2, our state TEA, local government here, said no, there is going to be a cap. We won't allow anything over 20% for those CCMR points.
And so the example there, if you were a high school and had 200 graduates and 50 of those graduates only got the sunsetting IBC, you would only get credit for 40 of those students. And 10 of those students, you would not receive a CCMR point in Domain 1 and 2, but you would receive them in Domain 3, which is federal.
So this is the money that we used to really see a lot of, our outcome bonus money. So over a certain threshold, then it pays you for your students. $5,000 for a student who met their TSIA requirement and either earned an IBC or attended college, like enrolled immediately after college into a higher ed institute. If I was a regular student, non-low SES, then that would be $5,000. Excuse me, low SES is $5,000. If I was non-SES, it's $3,000, and if I was under special education, it's worth $2,000. The thing is, they raised that threshold up pretty high. So out of typically we're sitting on 2020 to 2021 data because it runs 2 years behind. So out of if we would have to say we would get like 117 of our kids would have to meet that threshold in our low SES category, and then we would only get credit for the additional 100 that made it after that. So it's a pretty high threshold. That's probably the thing that we really do well. One of the things we do extremely well is our dual credit programs. And our 2020 to 2021 data equaled about $76,000, and that's all. So it came way down because when we first started this, we were looking at getting several hundred thousand.
One of the other major changes is in Domain 3. One of the changes in Domain 3 is that they talked about doing a one-year change in the calculation of the emergent bilingual proficiency. That's still undecided. It's on the table, but that if a student received advanced high or progressed in 2 out of the 4 categories, but that they would get the point. But then they were talking about maybe adding in the writing component as well. One of the major changes, though, is that they reduced the minimum size of 25 students to 10. So used to you had to have 25 students to count a category. Now it's 10. And then for each campus type, elementary, middle school, and high school, they have established separate targets. And then they changed the yes-no methodology to a 0 to 4 methodology. And they've graded, and they started awarding those graduated outcomes based off of if you've hit the minimum progress, expected progress, if you met the interim target, or if you met the long-term target. The other big change is they reduced the student groups evaluated. In the past, it used to be like 14 or 16 groups, but that were evaluated. It's reduced down to 4 now. And so what it is, it's your all students groups. And then each campus, their 2 lowest race ethnic groups from the prior year, performance groups from the prior year. So for every campus, that would be different. And then what they call a super group or a high focus group. And that is your ECODIS students, your SPED students, your emergent bilingual students, homeless, migrant, and your foster students. So a student used to be able to impact you positively or negatively in many dimensions. Now it's only they can impact you in 3.
Any questions on that? Because that's kind of a little convoluted and it's totally new. So I could be graded on my all, my white, my Asian, and my super group. And then he's at a campus and he's graded on all, African American, Hispanic, and super group.
And the other thing that they've changed is just the way that the district is rated. In the past, districts were rated kind of like high schools. But now it's proportional weighting. And what that means is that they take the number of your 3rd through 12th grade enrolled students at a campus at your fall snapshot, and then they break that out. They break that down by your enrollment of the entire district, and then so each campus is proportionally weighted. So in the past, high schools were a whole bunch, but now it's more. And they do it in each domain now. It's not just one rating. It's in each domain. They do the same thing, proportional weighting, and then you still get the better of your domain 1, your domain 2, your domain 3. Your domain 1, 2A, or 2B is 70% of your rating, and then domain 3 is 30%.
So the methodology prior to this was always that you can't control the gap that they come to you with, but that you graduate students college and career ready, and then the district got credit over how you got those students to close the gap by the time they graduated. The new methodology is that if any of your campuses scored low, then the district should be also dinged for that score at the elementary level. So you don't have any grace to try to get them to where they need to be in that college and career area. Yes.
When you talked about the weighted averages, could you tell me what that is for campus? Like when you use a weighted average, you said?
So
what is that?
It's based on the number of students who are enrolled in those grades that are tested. So if you have a small elementary school like San Jacinto, where you don't have very many students there in those grades level, then the district is, and I say San Jacinto because they always score really well, very academic, and so you don't get very much credit as a district for that.
Even though they scored well.
Even though they scored well. So then you take a campus that may not have scored well in the past, and then if they have a large enrollment,
Oh, it's based
then
on
they're going to
enrollment.
be they're going to be weighted even lower. And it also has us look at, we have different programs on each campus. So one campus may have a large student population, but they may house some of our special programs. And so that's going to affect the district at a bigger weight, where before it did not at all.
Thanks.
And so this is kind of an example of one of those domains. You'll see that the enrollments of the campuses, campus 1 through 5. You see the score in their domain 2, part B, and then how it's weighted. And you'll see that, campus 1 received an 85, campus 2 received an 85, campus 3 received a 77, campus 4 received a 72, and campus 5 received a 67. And overall, that the district in that domain would be rated a 79.
So if you look at the numbers, you could tell what they're trying to insinuate is the 990 would be a high school. Definitely not a Goose Creek High School, but maybe a 3 or 4A. And then the 700 campus would be like your junior high. And then you notice that your 330 and your 270 were probably elementaries, and then probably a small campus of the 62. So normally in the past, your weight would have been on the larger the B, and maybe some of the C would where your accountability grade normally fit. Now they're taking a piece of each of those campuses.
So we've identified across the state, we're looking at a decline in scores probably, and so some of the root causes we believe is the change to the test, STAR 2.0 changes. The scaling tool for TA has changed the scaling tool. The big things are the CCMR increase and the domain 3 changes, and that's what we suspect those big changes are going to be.
Now, there's still a lawsuit going. They still haven't released the part of the information we need, and ratings have not come out. But we are looking. We're anticipating 1 to 2 grade level drops for campuses and district at this point. Any questions? Don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I felt like it would be better for y'all to see this on the front side before ratings even came out.
But the point of all of this is all of this came out after we tested the kids.
Yes, and we still are missing information currently.
So I've prepared for history fair based on a set of rules that I was given, and I get my project to history fair, and they say, oh, no, we've changed the rules and you're disqualified.
Correct, to the point that the
Right.
CCMR is on 2021, so we'll get 2022 next year, and they changed it so that 20% applies to 2022 that are already gone.
Kids that we have no control over.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank y'all.
And that is what the basis of the lawsuit against the Commissioner of Education is, that he's not applying the policies that were in place at the time the test was administered. Next up we have for Superintendent's report is the certified values and tax rate adoption presented by our very own CFO, Ms. Clark.
And if accountability wasn't fun, now we're going to talk about taxes. So, good evening, President Guy, board members, Dr. O'Brien. Let me get this file opened and we'll be ready to go here. All right. So, the last time we met on budget and tax rate was in our public hearing in June, just prior. That's when we requested you all adopt the budget and approve and adopt the budget that evening. At that time, we did not have certified values. At that time, we still had special sessions going on, so we didn't know what was coming down the pike in terms of tax rates and what they were going to do, but they had been promising all semester long that they were going to offer taxpayers property tax relief, and they delivered on that, but they didn't deliver on that until July. And so once that law came into was passed by the Senate and the House. It was then signed by our governor. So at that point, we were able to move forward with adopting our tax rate. So with that, we'll get right into it here. So what happened with Senate Bill 2? Okay, so they, like I said, they passed the law for property tax relief on the 13th of July, and it was signed by the governor on the 22nd. And it included a required decrease or compression of 10.7 cents. And there's also, with tax rates, with M&O tax rates, that is, there is a ceiling and a floor. The ceiling was reduced from 0.7950 to 0.6880, and then the floor was reduced to from 0.7155 to 0.6192. So all school districts in the state must fall within that range, either 0.6880, which is the very top, or 0.6192, which is the very bottom. They want to keep tax rates within, reasonable range of one another, because it would be very unfair to have huge swings in tax rates from one district to another as far as their baseline tax rate. So that's the reason for that. They put that in place with House Bill 3 in 2019, and they just continued that on with the Senate Bill 2. It also requires assessor collectors to put pre-Senate Bill 2 and post-Senate Bill 2 rates on their tax bills. So they're going to have to say, okay, we saved you this many pennies on your taxes thanks to us at your fine legislature with passing of Senate Bill 2. So that's a couple of things there. And then also, of course, they increased the mandated homestead exemption to $100,000. And this is, of course, going to require a constitutional amendment that's going to be on the ballot in November. I'm quite sure it'll pass with one of the highest passing rates due to the nature of the item. And everyone wants to vote for decrease in taxes or increase in exemption. So the only caveat there, it includes a hold harmless for M&O and INS, but it's only for bonds that were authorized before September 1st. So if the voters were to approve our bond election or any other bond election in the state, any other districts that are having bond elections, those bond authorizations will not be subject to the hold harmless. So you're going to have a decrease in taxable value on the interest and sinking side, and then it's going to be decreased by that $100,000 exemption, and that's what you get. So even though you're going to bring in less dollars, because a lower taxable value times the same tax rate is going to bring you lower revenue numbers. A higher taxable value times the same tax rate is going to bring you higher values. So those values are going to automatically be decreased when that $100,000 exemption hits, and there is no hold harmless for any bonds authorized past September 1st. So. All right, so what happened year over year? So you can see we're showing huge gains still. We went from 14.7 to over 16 billion, excuse me. So the change is, almost 1.4 billion. And that's with, including our certified values from, we didn't receive our certified values from HCAD actually until August 28th. So, and these numbers do include that $100,000 homestead exemption. So what does the tax rate look like? Okay, so when we talked in June and we had our public hearing on tax rate, we had to put our tax rate, based on the law at the time, right? So it was, I think it was about, if you look at the 22-23 column there, I think when we spoke in June, I think the rate was just under that 95.67 because of the compression that was going to be in place under current law. It was a few cents even under current law before Senate Bill 2 was passed. But you see now the huge decrease with that compression pushing us all the way to the floor. It's almost 20 cents on the M&O tax rate. Now, we are funded on entitlement, which is, how many students we have, how many ADAs, how many different special populations, and that sort of thing. So essentially, it doesn't hurt us. I mean, all things being equal, it doesn't hurt us because the state picks up the tab on the other piece. So if we bring in less locally, the state picks up more of the tab just based on our student population and our ADA numbers. INS tax rate is holding steady at 32.5 cents. So that gives us a grand total tax rate year over year decrease of almost 20 cents, 0.1992 from 1.2817 to 1.0825. Now, this does not factor in the election that's to be held in November. So if that were to pass, we'll see an increase of 8 cents to 0.405 for the INS tax rate, which would bring us to 1.1625. Now, I will tell you that we are at the lowest tax rate permitted by statute at the 0.6192. We are not alone in that. 550 school districts in the state out of just over 1,000 school districts. 550 are at the floor now, immediately at the floor. So there's only 141 school districts in the state that are at the ceiling at the 0.6880. And then 324 fall somewhere in between the 0.6192 and the 0.6880. So over half of school districts in the state are pushed down to the floor. So we're at the lowest tax rate permitted by statute. All right, so what does our tax rate history look like? And what is, the average savings to a taxpayer in our area? So from 2018, our total tax rate was 1.43189. And then you see 2023, we dropped down to 1.0825. That is almost 35 cents decrease over that 6-year period, over 24%. And on the average home taxable value of $200,000, it would save somewhere around $700 if you just isolated tax rate reduction alone. Now, does that mean constituents' overall tax bills are going to decrease? Probably not. Because why? Because our property values are increasing. The market values and the appraised values are increasing so much more than what this would afford in savings that it overshadows the savings, if that makes sense. And so that's why they don't see as much of a decrease on their tax bill, even though they're seeing huge decreases in our tax rates. So again, if the bond passes, the INS tax rate will increase 8 cents to 0.405, bringing us to a total tax rate of 1.1625. But if you, in isolation, if you just based it on tax rate alone, Goose Creek would be saving taxpayers almost $700 a year. All right, and most districts have not posted their, or as of the date of our posting this, they hadn't posted their tax rates. A lot of them are still working on it. Some of them are taking them to the October meetings. A few of them have posted them, and you can see it's kind of a mixture of where we're all going to land. But you can see Conroe is going to get pushed down below $1. I mean, with their total tax rate, below $1, 96.9621. I mean, that's some compression right there. And so is A-Leaf. They're going to be below $1 at 0.9867. But like I said, more than half of the school districts are going to be pushed down to the floor. So those rates are going to come down significantly. We're still somewhere right in the middle. But again, this doesn't have, all the 23-24 tax rates factored in to show us what those rankings might look like. So, and that is our tax rate presentation in a nutshell. Do you have any questions?
Bridget, I wanted to go ahead and give credit at the beginning before questions, that our legislators recognized that land evaluations, property evaluations have escalated over the last several years. And upon themselves, they took the burden of making this adjustment. And that is where the almost 20-cent reduction in taxes comes from. They did that as a result of having a huge rainy day fund. So the concern that we all should have is it sustainable? because it's only good for the next 2 years, the biennium in which this law was passed. So at the end of this law, one of two things could happen, depending upon where the rainy day fund is on the state. They could continue it and continue to support it, or retract it altogether, forcing local school districts to raise their tax rate. So just want that to be a fair statement, that our legislators were listening to their constituents, taxpayers, trying to lower their tax values or their tax expenses, but it may be a temporary solution, I think it's fair to say. And it was a result not of school taxes or city taxes or higher education taxes going up specifically, but the value of the land, which was based upon the evaluation process, not on the school district process. So I think it's fair to bring all of that forward for our general public to know that we're accepting this relief willfully and happily.
Right.
But we are a little bit concerned about what happens in 2 years.
Yes. They're trying to pay for a permanent tax reduction or tax relief with temporary money that may not be there, in years to come.
And it may be. We just don't know.
Yeah. If we have a recession, maybe not. I mean, we'll have to see. But they've somewhat painted themselves into a corner with it, because now, they're going to have to pay for the offset for public education every time that tax rate is reduced.
Well, you took a complex subject and presented it very good, but I do want to open up the floor for board members that may have more specific questions.
Isn't the rainy day fund about $32 billion right now? The last time I heard.
There was a $33 billion surplus, but a portion of it was rainy day fund, and now I want to say it was around 16 billion, 14, 16 billion was the rainy day fund portion. So that was from recapture from all the districts, over the last several years, and that money accumulating from recapture dollars. So
I knew I had heard that number somewhere, but I didn't know it was split that much. I thought it was all in education, but
Other questions?
Would it be fair to say that recapture is, in effect, a state property tax? They claim we don't have one.
Well,
that's all you have to say. Well, it's a good answer. Thank you.
But they pass it through the school system, and then, we're the clearinghouse, and that's what makes it not a property tax.
Yeah.
I mean, a state income tax, yes. So it's a clever system.
Ms. Clark, thank you so much for all you've done. I know this is your busy season. Can you talk a little bit about the NNR rate compared to the 1.0825, the no new revenue rate? How does that compare?
It doesn't necessarily mean because we're pushed all the way down to the floor by statute, we can't go any lower than that. And because of property value increases on our roll and golden pennies and copper pennies, there's almost always going to be a little more revenue generated year over year, just because of the way the school finance system is designed, and it's designed that way. Because if you have your golden pennies and your copper pennies, it's going to generate more funds for your district, and that is what your voters voted for. Because the only way to increase those copper and golden pennies is through a voter-approved tax rate election. So,
do you know offhand what our NNR rate is?
What our NNR is?
NNR rate is. What is the no new revenue rate?
I'll have to go. I don't have that in front of me right now, but I can get it for you. But as I said, it's always going to generate a little bit more if you have golden pennies and copper pennies. And that's just the way the system is designed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Thank you, Ms. Clark. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I think it's time for item number 7, action items.
Okay, we have opportunity to address our action items this evening. Action item 7A, consideration and approval of a resolution defeasing and calling for redemption of the GCCISD unlimited tax school building bonds, Series 2014A, and unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2014C, approving and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement, authorizing the engagement of a verification agent, and containing other provisions related thereto. Administration would seek approval of action item A before moving on to B.
I move to approve.
A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem, a second by Ms. Barat-Timms. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. I see 6-4, so motion passes.
Action item 7B, consideration of approval of resolution adopting an order approving the Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District property tax roll for the fiscal year 23-24.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Campisi, a second by Mr. Clem. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. I see 6-4, motion passes.
Action item 7C, consideration of approval of resolution fixing and levying school district ad valorem taxes for the fiscal year 23-24.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem, a second by Mrs. Barat-Timms. Is there any discussion? If you're all in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, so motion passes.
That moves us to our consent agenda, which I can read in its entirety.
Before we begin, I'd like to make a motion that we pull item 7D5 for consideration after closed session.
Yes, sir. Happy to do so.
Do we have to do that as a motion, or I can just request that? Where's my attorney? Okay, then I would like to make that request.
Perfect.
What number was that again?
Number 5.
7D5. So I will read the consent with the exclusion of number 5 for your approval. 7D, consideration of consent agenda. Number 1, donation from D. Mays Middleton II. Number 2, 2023-24 district campus improvement plans. Number 3, A through F, local policy, innovation districts board policy. Number 4, Port Houston Maritime Education Program sponsorship agreement. Skipping number 5 to return later time. Number 6, proposed 2023 remote instruction homebound waiver for students receiving individualized instruction through general education homebound GEH program or compensatory education home instruction CEHI program in Wichita. Requirements of the program are met except for in-person instruction from homebound teacher. And number 7, adoption of resolution regarding extracurricular status of 4-H members in Harris County and Chambers County and consideration of adjunct faculty agreements. Number 8, interlocal agreement between Harris County Department of Education and Goose Creek CISD for safety and security audit services. Number 9, competitive seal proposals, CSPs, evaluation rankings and selection of, delegate authority to the superintendent or designee to negotiate and to approve the contract and subsequent amendments with contractor name or subsequently ranked contractors for the Stallworth Stadium Fieldhouse project. Number 10, School Health Advisory Council, SHAC, members' appointments. Number 11, award for RFP for an early childhood development program. Number 12, extension of CSP for spirit wear and apparel. Number 13, tax refunds as presented. Administration would recommend approval for each of these consent agenda items, excluding number 5 at this time.
I move to approve.
Hang on.
Number 9, could that be explained a little bit?
Can we
clear?
pull that for?
Yeah.
Can we pull number 9 for separate consideration? Agreed.
So pulling 9 and 5.
I have a question on number 8. Let me get there. 7D8. On the cover page, it says budget provisions not applicable, but within the agreement, we're getting bills for $58,000. So where does the money come from?
Thank you, Dr. Price.
Good evening, President Guy, board members, Superintendent O'Brien. Those funds will come from the Safe and Secure Schools budget.
So, meaning the budget has already been provided in the,
yes. Now, the way
annual budget adoption.
Yes, they're going to bill us over a 3-year period this time. And so for the first year, 23-24, it's going to be $17,000 split up in 3 payments.
So it's coming out of the general fund budget?
Yes.
Okay. It just didn't say that on the cover sheet, so I thought maybe we had magic money somewhere.
That tree and that money tree in the back.
Yeah, we know the money tree died during the drought. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'm through.
I'll move to approve consent agenda items 1 through 4, 6 through 8, and 10 through 13 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Campisi, a second by Mr. Clem. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes. Okay, did we want to come back to number 9?
Yeah. Mr. Sampson, would you like to go first?
No, you.
Okay. I'd like to pose a hypothetical. So hypothetically, we're going to approve an $8.8 million field house, and hypothetically, the bond fails for improvements to Star-Wars Stadium. Do we really want a brand new $8.8 million field house at a stadium that's truly falling apart?
All I can say is that the students and the staff still need the locker rooms that will be built within the new field house that's been part of the 2019 bond that the voters approved.
And how many times have we pushed this project back already?
Well, it was pushed as the final project for this bond.
Yeah, but it was scheduled much earlier. It's been pushed back once or twice.
Yes, sir. Determining whether or not.
I'm just seeing, maybe this community will send us a message that they want a new stadium and we read it wrong. Or maybe they don't want any improvements. And having a shiny new field house for a stadium that's not quite so shiny doesn't make sense in my mind. But I understand it was approved by CBOC, et cetera, and move forward with that. I'm just putting a hypothetical out there.
And that's a fair hypothetical, sir. The 2019 bond did include some items that were contingent upon a continuous improvement mindset, and it is up to our voters in November to whether or not some of those components that match up to the 2019 bond will be carried out on as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Mr. Sampson?
Oh, I went to sleep. I just got a question about this competitive seal proposal, evaluation ranking, selection, delegate for the superintendent to negotiate, approve contract, the whole question. I mean, are we talking about all contracts with Stallworth or just the rebuilding of Stallworth? What exactly are we talking about?
It's a contract. The wording here is for Dr. O'Brien to approve the negotiation with the contractor that was selected as the best value for this particular project.
Okay.
If those negotiations don't go through, then we would move on to the next highest qualified bidder for that project. But it's specifically to the contractor that's being proposed for this evening.
I think it's fair. I think one of his questions you might be able to help him with is what's the difference between a CSP and another type of contract? That's the reason, I think, for the question.
It's just the delivery method, and we brought that to you back in June. competitive sealed proposals.
Right.
Sometimes we do different methods of delivery, but for this particular project, it was a ground-up project. There's not a renovation portion to it, and it's usually a better value for that particular type of project.
So on this particular awarding, did we do a scale? Who had the better numbers?
Yes, absolutely. It should be included in your package here. And so you can see the graph that includes all of the bidders that proposed and all of the values they received for each section of their grading.
Okay. That was just my curiosity.
Okay.
That's on page 146, Mr. Sampson.
Well.
The electronic page 146.
It's the third attachment. It's the third attachment on the. Just a comment. I feel like it would be helpful also for us. Like I don't remember seeing any plans for the field house, so maybe it could help us get a kind of a grasp on what an $8 million field house.
Sure, absolutely.
Might
we can
look
bring
like.
That to you. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
We'll have the two items to vote on once we come out of closed session, but we can move on to item 7E.
Okay, any future board agenda items?
Request, Ms. Jackson, if they decide to withhold data later than the 21st or whatever you said, 26th, would you let us know right away so I can start writing letters again? Thank you.
And it is a fair question, Mr. Clem, that litigation may push the release date back. We've heard numbers as late as February, so it's a fair question for you to want to know. Or when are we going to know how our campus performance has done?
That's a good question. Can we, this is for teacher board agendas, right? Okay. Can we, as a board, or however, come up with a process that we need to, if we're going to try to push this bond, there's not many days left, and we need to be able to push it, whereby we getting everybody on board and trying to make sure if we're going to try to pass this bond, we need to have, a pep rally.
Yes, sir. We that is our website lists some of the dates that will be forthcoming and the locations. Ms. Kendall David, would you like to speak to that?
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Brenda Garcia and I have been working with our teams to have all of the information for the 2023 proposed bond on our website. Tomorrow we meet with, or Wednesday, we meet with district administrators to start the training process of the informational campaign. And then we will go through a set of 50 meetings with campuses in our community to inform about what is on the 2023 bond. Our team is more than happy to train you as a board to have all of that information in person if that's what you guys would like to have.
Yeah, because I hear people saying, hey, only thing I hear from people is negative.
Sure.
The positive part is not filtering through.
Yeah, and there's a lot to come. Dr. O'Brien and myself, we did a podcast today. A video will be released by the end of the week. So there's a lot of material out there to kind of answer a lot of those questions.
But we will be doing the campaign, as you said, visiting campuses, visiting local service clubs and organizations, and that calendar will be provided to the Board of Trustees for any of those meetings you can attend. And I think, as you stated, we'll be happy to present for the board personally as well. It'll be one of our groups that we present to.
Absolutely. There's over 50 meetings that will be available for you to attend. So lots of different options. 30, of course, over 30 are campuses, but different community organizations, and then also open forum for our 1 in Spanish and 3 at different campuses options for our community as a whole. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
And I think board trainings, Ms. Garcia. Board has a training coming up at the end of the month, right? Ready to go to Dallas? Okay.
Yep. And we also have what was the update that we had to do? I think I'm going to do it virtually. Okay. Perfect.
And other than that, just board meetings. We may have a calendar conflict with upcoming board meetings. I'll discuss that with you all as well.
All right. Anything else before we go into closed session? Okay. The board will now recess into a closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. .071, .072, .073, .074, .075, .076, .082, .083, .084, and .087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed meeting. Okay, it's 9:02 and we are ready to reconvene back into open session. I think that we will revisit our consent agenda items that were pulled first.
Yes, administration has presented action item under consent agenda D5, resolution to declare a good cause exception for House Bill 3, armed security officer requirement.
I would make a motion that we approve the declaration with the following change. On the last page, there are 4 hollow bullets concerning the third bullet. I would like it to read, consider other options currently available to the district, period, and strike such as the Guardian Plan or the Marshall Plan.
Noted.
I think I said that as a motion.
I second that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Clem, a second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. All right, 6-4, motion passes.
The next item would be item D9, competitive seal proposal, CSP evaluation rankings and selection. Or delegate the authority to the superintendent or designee to negotiate and to approve the contract and subsequent amendments with contractor name or subsequently rank contractors for Stallworth Stadium Fieldhouse project. Administration recommends approval.
I move to approve number 9 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Campisi, a second by Mrs. Barat-Timms. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes.
Administration would then take us to consideration of personnel.
Point of privilege.
Thank you.
Point of order. Can we revisit future board agenda items? And
certainly,
as we discussed in the back, to have on the next available agenda the new legislation -chaplain as discussed in closed session.
Noted.
Thank you.
Which will now bring us to consideration of personnel H. Administration recommends the approval of the elections and acceptance of the resignations and retirements as presented.
I move to approve.
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Clem, a second by Mr. Campisi. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes.
Administration then brings before the Board of Trustees For the Director of Communications, Dr. Norma Beguilla Martinez.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Campisi, a second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes.
Next, we have High School Counselor for Robert E. Lee, Imian Calazonsint.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Barat-Timms, a second by Mr. Campisi. Any discussion?
Pronunciation doesn't count, right?
Called me on it.
All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes.
I couldn't say it either, so don't feel bad.
Educational Diagnostician, Shay McCandless.
Move to approve the educational diagnostician.
I second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Barat-Timms, a second by Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes.
Final administrative recommendations for Speech Language Pathologist Assistant, Kaylin Higgins.
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Martinez and a second by Mr. Campisi. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 6-4, motion passes. And I'll move to adjourn the meeting at 9:06.